an astrology podcast update. My name is Ella Ivy, and I was called to come on here to talk about and reflect upon and transmit the energy of the full moon in Scorpio, which is approaching April 24th. So I felt very compelled to come on here, especially since I have natally my sun, my moon, and my Mercury in Scorpio. So I've really been working with scorpionic energy now for 50 rotations around the sun. And upon preparation for this transmission, I was just really called to be in my practice, right? To be in my heart space, to ground, to hydrate, to make sure my body is properly mineralized, that I have the essential oils that I need, that I have the nutrients that I need. And so this is what Scorpio signifies, really, is about becoming the divine alchemist. It's remembering that you are the alchemist, that you have the ability to transmute, transform, turn one substance or aspect of yourself into another through intention, through working with the elements. So before we get into this transmission, first of all, I'm looking at the fan above my head. It's spinning, right? So my crown is on. It's funny. So just taking a couple of deep breaths, just really feeling centered and getting into your body. Wherever you are, I'm setting the intention for this now time moment. Whoever receives this transmission, they will receive it at the exact perfect time. And if you're drawn to this channel, if you're drawn to this transmission, thank you so much for spending your most valuable resource. Value is Taurus. Your most valuable resource is time, Saturn. And I would just ask that whoever receives this, if you're tuned into this, you just take a few moments, maybe put your hand on your heart, maybe, one hand on your belly, and just take this time to allow yourself to receive whatever comes through. And so just taking a deep breath in and a nice slow breath out. Just saying thank you. And just now asking permission to every single one of you that's here, if I may share information, that if I may share the wisdom and the knowledge that resides within me to you for your highest and best timeline experience. That's the intention for all of us to really the channel of livzenastrology is the radical oneness, is to all information that I share, all the tools, techniques, inner gnosis knowledge, accumulation of the wisdom teachers that reside within me, that I follow outside of me, are all in the intention to bring in unity consciousness, to remember that we are one, that we have been the ones we've been waiting for. And so this is really a transmission of unification through the knowledge and power of transmutation, transformation, and using astrology as a tool. It's just simply a tool to remember that we are all part of this one consciousness. And so as I'm listening to my dog, Tanner, who's a Taurus, take some water. So make sure to hydrate during this time. We're still in Aries season when this is being filmed. So, and by the time that this full moon happens, the sun will be at 1 degree or at 4 degrees in Taurus, right? So anytime there's a full moon, that means the moon's going to be opposing the sun at the same degree point. So this full moon in Scorpio is going to be at 4 degrees of a fixed water sign. So this is going to influence, especially, and impact all you fixed signs out there. So the other fixed signs in the zodiac is going to be, especially around the 4 degree area. And again, you can go and look at your chart for this to see, first of all, you want to see where Scorpio is in your chart. You want to see where Taurus is, and then you want to see where the other fixed signs are. So the other fixed signs is going to be Aquarius and Leo. And so this is really going to be impacting you. You're going to feel this shift. Remember, this divine alchemy is happening already within all of us, but there's some of us who have varying degrees and aspects that are going to be more pointed focus in this transmutation, transformation energy that's being invoked in by the full moon in Scorpio. Now, 2 weeks ago, we had this new moon in Aries, and the new moon was also next to the eclipse and right next to Chiron in Aries. So that was the initiation of Aries, and now we're seeing the culmination in Scorpio of there's always two strong. I'm upgrading the language from weeks. There's always two strongs happening in between the moon cycles. And then of course there's the 8 phases of the moon, which we're not going to go into now. But again, you can check out these phases of the moon online. Remember, all this information is accessible now. We have given ourselves the tool of technology. Aquarius really is the Akashic record to show us and remind us, to help us remember who we are and remember where we are in relation to these cosmic energies. And so with this eclipse that happened in Aries on 4/8, now we're seeing, now we have a half of a fortnight later where there's a culmination of fullness that's revealing itself in Scorpio of what needs to shift and change within you to bring in those new frequencies that were initiated through Aries. Now, Aries and Scorpio were co-ruled at one point by Mars, the planet of action and the war planet, right? The planet of, it's considered masculine, which is to me electric. It's also a fiery sign. So before they discovered the dwarf planet Pluto, Scorpio and Aries were co-ruled by Mars. And so looking at the Mars configuration during this transit, during this full moon, Mars is still going to be, let's see, it's in Pisces, and it's going to be conjunct or within the 3-degree orb of Neptune in Pisces. So it's going to be a watery planet. So this transit that's happening is actually going to be trining. The moon is going to be trining Mars, and it's going to be trining Neptune. And trines are usually, if you think about a triangle or a 120-degree aspect, those are very beautiful, harmonious, fluid aspects that, with the guidance of Pisces and Mars and Scorpio, is showing us what we need to shift or alchemize through our spiritual nature, inner spirituality. And we've also got Saturn there. So it's going to be aspecting Saturn, which is our structure, which is, I think, of boundaries, right? So creating healthy boundaries within your spiritual practices, maybe your spiritual groups, as we're all being activated into remembering who we are, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, Taurus, right, in these physical bodies. But we also have to know we have boundaries, because what is shifting, and especially on the collective world stage right now, is we're seeing transformation within groups. This is Aquarius. And right now, we know that the modern ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, which is in Aquarius. So it is all about the collective energy, about groups, organizations, hopes, dreams, and wishes. This is 11th house with what Aquarius rules. And so there's huge transformations happening on the world stage. And because the moon is opposite the sun in Taurus during this transit, Taurus, we know, is about our love, our money, our body, our senses, our values. So Scorpio is coming along and it's saying we need to shift. We need to shift what we value. We need to shift how we merge with the other, because this is also, when you look at polarity and opposition energy, it's actually just two opposing forces that are here to unify. Ultimately, it's about the complementary energies. If you know how to work with the energies, and if you decide to perceive, this is Jupiter, Jupiter's 9th house, And I say Jupiter because we're just coming off this massive conjunction with Jupiter and Uranus happening on 420 right before this full moon in Scorpio. And I did a post on that. You can check out livzenastrology for that podcast about the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction and what that signifies. So, but in this transmission and conversation, it's just a divine remembrance that you are the alchemist. So giving a little perspective into the Taurus energy. So Taurus, the sun will be in Taurus during that time. The sun is where we come to shine our light. It's our ego. It's our life force, vitality, what can be seen. And in Taurus is a very independent sign. It's also a fixed sign, just like Scorpio, just like Leo and Aquarius, right? So we've got those cardinal points of the fixed elements. And what was coming into a meditation before this transmission, if you have Netflix and you want to watch this series that's on right now, they redid it. It's called The Last Airbender, and it's about the Avatar. Avatar, The Last Airbender, and it's about working with the elements. So the card pull I did before this transmission, I received the Magician card, which is about working with the elements. So what's coming in really strong is it's time for us to master the elements within our bodies, because the elementals are actually living beings, living organisms, living life force energies that reside within the body, Taurus. And so it's learning to be the master of alchemy, of learning to use the earth, air, fire, water, and ether, right? The fifth element, the mysterious, unknown, unseen element, but for those of us who are empathic, can be deeply felt, right? This is our psychic abilities. This is our intuition, which resides in the gut, right? Our gut knowing, which is also Taurus, right? Because it's in the body, it's in the stomach, which is Cancer. It's the moon. It's our memory of that we have a remembrance of who we are and what's good for us, what's not good for us. But what was showing up for me, especially in the dream state, was there's a lot of confusion energy, because if you're tapped into collective energy, which is right now Pluto's in Aquarius, it's really a good time, especially during this full moon transit, to practice setting up healthy boundaries to know what is yours and what belongs to the other. Because Taurus is very individuated. It's me, myself, my resources, my money, my food. If anybody here knows a Taurus, you don't mess with their money, you don't mess with their food, you don't mess with their things, right? It's the materialism. And Scorpio is all about merging with the other, right? Very deep, intimate, sexual connections with other people. So there we go. There's that divine, paradox or polarity of me, myself, my, and Taurus, and then merging intimately and intensely and financially with the other, which is Scorpio. So what was coming up for me and what I wanted to share in this transmission today was how we show up for the other, how we merge our resources, our finances with groups, organizations, other people, partners, family members. It's all shifting, because the top-down governmental systems that were represented in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn, those top-down structures are now collapsing and dissolving. And so how we connect and do commerce, Mercury, which is in Aries right now, retrograde, it's being rethought, restructured, reorganized. Wait a minute, we can't do things the way we've been doing things with other people in relation to our finances, our bodies, our health. All that is shifting. And with Scorpio, it's things that are hidden. So we're going to see right now, especially after coming off this conjunction with Uranus and Jupiter, some really revelatory aha awarenesses about how things in society have perhaps been misappropriated, have been hidden, because Scorpio rules things that are unseen. And so with the full moon, think of it like a spotlight. If you've ever been out on a full moon, it seems very light. It's almost like you can see in the dark because it's so bright out. Well, with Scorpio, because it's going to be transiting in Scorpio, you're going to be able to see really clearly the things that have been hidden, not only on the world stage in relation to our finances and our bodies, our healthcare systems, our education systems, but you're going to also be able to see what has been hidden in your own subconscious, Pisces, because again, there's going to be a beautiful trine happening with Saturn and Pisces, and also Mars in Pisces, and where we have been taking inappropriate action, perhaps looking at some addiction that we've have or possess. Now, this is also interesting. The word possession came in, right? So Taurus is about our physical possessions, but then Scorpio, I reflect, is about our spiritual possessions, or what possesses us. So I think of substances, right? Food addictions, substance abuse or addictions, anything that we're addicted to, that perhaps now Scorpio is showing us, look, this is keeping you in this bondage. This, Capricorn and the Tarot is represented by the devil, which just means that that's where we have the illusion of being imprisoned. It's also 12th house, right? The 12th house historically in astrology is the house where we imprison ourselves. So this is a very deep and profound and provocative aspect that's going to be showing all of us where we have addiction to certain possessions, certain things, certain people, certain foods, substances, right? Certain things that are keeping us in this periphery. It's keeping us bound to this perception. And again, I'm looking at perception in astrology. So the 9th house is ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius, which is I perceive. But then the 12th house is I believe, right? And then in between that is the 11th house, Aquarius, which is I know. So these are some of the verbiages, the reverberations that are coming out in relation to what we think we know, what we're perceiving our reality to be, and what we believe to be true about our love, our money, our bodies, our education system, our governing systems. What is transforming is now, with awareness, with the spotlight being shown on things that have been hidden within the governing systems, within our societal systems, and within us, the programs, the indoctrinations, right? The structures within that have been projected out through our projectors, through our ocular vision, and how we're creating our reality real time. And so I call it the stop, drop, and roll. It's like, okay, wait a minute. First of all, look at your life. This is a very inward, Scorpio is a very inward sign. So this is the time to really to go inward and perform deep alchemy, and to really look around you, look at your life, look at your friendships, look at your partnerships, look at the people around you. Science says that you are the summation of the top 5 people you hang around, right? So this is really a time to do the inward dive, to go, wait a minute, who am I surrounded by? What are their habits? What are their beliefs? How do they perceive reality? This is the other, this is Scorpio. And how does that influence and affect me, my physical body, my finances, my values? Because we're like pack animals, right? We tend to adopt the beliefs of people around us because we influence each other, right? This is Pisces. We are the one energy. Think of it like a school of fish. We're all traveling in these different currents. And so are you aligned with the school of fish that you're currently in? Or are you ready to alchemize and shift and change because your values are shifting and changing? Again, this is happening at the 4-degree mark, this exact transit of the full moon in Scorpio, with the sun being in Taurus. And for those of you that study the Sabian symbols of astrology, I would check that out too, Sabian symbols. And so each degree point of the 360-degree axis through each sign was through psychic interpretation, given like a writing or a symbol or a mantra, if you will. and Dean Rugard, I think that's how you pronounce it. I can send a link below after this transmission, but you can check him out. He did the Sabian symbols in a correspondence. He worked with a psychic, and that's how they came up with these degree points. And so when I was looking at the degree point, now it's going to be 4 degrees, but when you're working with the Sabian symbols, you always want to go a degree, the next degree over, because it doesn't start at 0. It always starts at 1. This is what they wrote down. So this is what I'm seeing. And so what we want to look at is the 5th degree of Scorpio in this Sabian symbol, which says massive rocky shore resists the pounding of the sea. So the sea is Pisces, and the rocky shore, of course, is Saturn. So what this is saying is that, in essence, it's how do we stabilize and stay in our own lane when the whole of collective energy is going through a storm, going through a massive shift, a transformation. We have to become like those rocks on the shore that are steadfast, that are solid, that are going to be in your own lane, it's going to be in your own strength, while you're witnessing simultaneously people, places, situations, jobs, society is going through this tumultuous shift in energy, right? How can you be that solid, steadfast form, like the rocks that are being, pummeled by the emotions of Pisces, right? By the collective energies of these unconscious forces that are happening within the collective psyche of humanity. So again, this is very deep work. This is very going kind of in the underworld of consciousness, but this is what's being shown. The light is being shown on what's really going underneath the subconscious realms. The occult just means not known, the non-known realms of our human psyches. And so what's coming in really strong is, again, that Saturn foundational practice in Pisces of your devotional practice to your spiritual disciplines. So this is the time more than ever to really harness in and utilize and anchor in. I'm thinking like anchor or ankh, right? The Egyptian ankh is the anchor. It's how you stay centered point in your own body, Taurus, while things are shifting and changing around you. As you're shifting and changing inside of you, there's foundational structures within you that's connected. I think of it like the root system of a tree. So right now we're going through a massive tornado windstorm, right? But the trees that are deeply rooted into the earth, yeah, their branches, some of the branches may leave. Some people may leave. This is metaphor. Some situations may leave. Some things have to leave, like the leaves off a tree, to provide new growth. This is what the earth does. It allows these alchemic processes of earth, wind, fire, water, right, to move and shift. That's the only thing that never changes, is change itself. So the earth is constantly, Mama Gaia, our earth plane, she, he, it, the being of Gaia, is alchemizing and transforming as well. And we are part of her creations, or its creations. And so just think of like a mother and father, right? Life is always happening for us. This is a life-giving planet. And so if you're seeing these shifts happen, these tornadoes, these windstorms, these sandstorms, these fires of your life, if you will, again, working with the elementals, if you see these happening in your life, it's for you, and it's for your highest and best experience. It's only here to nurture you and help you grow. And, Scorpio also rules our perception of death. And so 2020 was a paramount time for us to all face our mortality, and to really, for all of us as a collective energy, to what I call it the stop, drop, and roll, to go, wait a minute. We were caught in this current of just going to work every day, coming home, having certain habits, maybe drinking certain alcoholic beverages, tuning off, watching TV, going to bed, getting up, doing it all over again, right? So we were in this habitual form of of being. And so what 2020 allowed is like, wait a minute, you're not going to be in this realm forever. Time is the most valuable resource, and how you spend your time, again, these are all Taurus words, spend, value, it's limited. We are infinite beings in a finite vessel in this realm. So a lot of us had to stop what we were doing, even if we were going to jobs and situations where, because we were based in survival. Again, this is also Taurus, right? We just needed our basic necessities met. And when the world stopped, there was a divine alchemy that happened that needed to shift because we were in a current system that was taking us away from off course, if you will. So there's this divine cosmic play that's happening right now, and we're seeing it on the world stage. And we're being asked as individuals to step up into our hearts and to step into our knowing, to face our mortality, to go, look, you're not going to be here forever. Death is not what you think. This is Scorpio. It's just transformation. It's like waking up from a dream. You know, have you ever had a terrifying dream or nightmare? And then you woke up out of it and you were relieved, like, oh, thank God I'm out of that. It was just a dream, right? Well, what if this is the waking dream? What if this is an aspect through consciousness that we keep waking up to in this realm? And then eventually, when we transition, that we're going to be waking up into another realm, right? Another point of consciousness. These are just things to contemplate within your own being, within your own gnosis. And again, I've done a lot of studying and deep diving into my own mortality, into my own death process. And I personally feel that every time we sleep and go to bed at night, that there's a part of us that dies and then is reborn, you know, every time we come into this realm, because the dream state is so prolific and so deep and profound. And I know that I go to other states, other dimensions, if you will. This is why right now I'm personally learning how, through alchemy, through divine alchemy, learning how to have lucid dreamings, right? To purposely dream another dream of reality that I can step into when I decide to transition into this world, right? This is a level of mastery that I have chosen to embody, as I'm so, you know, heavily Scorpio. It's like, okay, I want to see what's beyond the veil. I want to see what's beyond death. What else is out there? Well, our dream state, and this is Pisces, gives us inklings and clues on what it is that we're merging with, but it's also dependent upon the alchemy that you imbibe with in your body. So this is also that axis point with Taurus and Scorpio, which is saying, look, your reality is going to be based on how you take care of your physical body. It's going to be based on how you value yourself, how you value your time, Saturn, how you value your money, Venus. And right now during this transit, we know Venus is going to be in Scorpio, or not Scorpio, in Aries still. And she's going to be at 23 degrees. And so Chiron, our wounded healer, is still in Aries. And then you've got Mercury, which is still going to be retrograde in Aries. And so Chiron is right in between Mercury, how we think, and Venus, our values, in Aries, which is the heart of the child, which is the me, myself, I am presence, right? So what's conveying to me during this transits is that right now we have been wounded, we have been devalued by the structures that have been in play while Pluto's been in Capricorn. And now we have this Pluto return to the United States, 240-year, aspect. And it's funny, it came into my mail, my email box to Robert Kennedy, who's running for president. And he sent on the email, it was 248 years ago in 1776, on April 18th, that Paul Revere was shouting that the British are coming, right? So like a war cry, a war code. But we can upgrade that, right? So there's a cycle that's happening that's, to me, I think of like a messenger. I think of Mercury, and I think of Aries with the war god saying, look, there are shifts happening right now. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Pay attention to the governing bodies. Pay attention to your point of power. Pay attention to what it is you're focused on. And be willing to look at, hey, have I been programmed to think a certain way, to value certain things? Has my alchemy been correct in how I've been navigating these conscious realms? Am I addicted to certain things, people, substances, situations, circumstances that are keeping me in this bondage state, in this perception of lack, of being devalued? Aries is my own creations want to emerge. So these are just some of the questions to look at and reflect on as you're being asked right now to become the alchemist. This is that full moon in Scorpio. It's to work with the elements, within and without. And I would even say too, this was coming in really strong from my guides, is every time the moon's in a certain element, to work with that element itself. So right now, this transmission's happening with the moon going into Virgo. So right now, working with the earth element, right? So going outside, grounding, maybe eating some grounding foods like potatoes, working with some grounding essential oils. I just use vetiver, which is literally grass, on my temples to help me stay grounded. And then as we transit and it moves over to Libra, you're going to want to work with the element of air. So maybe doing some breath work specifically on those days. I feel like breath, I don't want to call it work. Breath play is I think paramount to do every day, but especially on the days that the moon's in transit during that element. So this is just a point of alchemy that you could be working with and paying attention to, not only the moon cycles, because the moon rules memory. Whatever your opinion is on the moon, whether it's fake, whether it's real, whatever the technology of the moon is, our ancestors have been giving us guideposts on how to work with the lunar aspects, which, if it controls the tides of water, controls memory, controls our remembrances. And we know how to do this. We know how to alchemize ourselves. We may have been caught in somebody else's net. I think of like the Fisher of Men of the age of Pisces, right? We were caught in somebody else's indoctrination, old programs, old paradigms, old ways of perceiving our spiritual nature. Well, now that's shifting. It's asking us to become the divine alchemist, right? Through occult practices. And occult, again, all it means is hidden. and hidden within the psyche, hidden within your nervous system, hidden within your cellular memory. And so after this conjunction with Jupiter and Uranus, this is an activation. This whole month of April has been astrologers have been talking about this month for years now, this particular time frame, because there's so much potent change happening, one aspect after another, after another, after another. And again, we've never been here before as a human collective together with the level of consciousness that we have. We're remembering right now, especially with the Mercury retrograde, remembering our power, Mars, our ability to create something out of nothing, Aries, to initiate, to take action, to go, you know what? I can change lead into gold. I just have to remember how to use the elements. Richard Rudd, who was the creator of the Gene Keys, talked about he worked with a lot of shamans, and he was initiated into a lot of practices. And you can go and read his story again, Richard Rudd, Gene Keys. But he talks about one of the profound skills that he learned was how to create fire out of nothing. So I'm thinking almost too, like when you go camping, or who are like the Eagle Scouts or the Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, when they go camping, right? And they have to learn to see what's around them, the earth, Taurus, and figure out how to, if they want to be warm or they want cooked foods, that they have to learn how to create fire. And I'm not saying you have to go out and how to learn that, although that's a skill I would love to learn. Just to remember your power, just to remember that you have the ability to create something out of nothing through intention, through the tools around you. Just look around you. Start looking from a different perspective, especially if you're struggling financially, you're struggling about values, about your currency, about, pay attention to the story, the repeating thoughts that keep coming up. This is, again, Mercury retrograde, what story are you telling yourself that is perhaps keeping you in this prison, this box, this only perception that you can't see what's around you? So this is an opportunity through Scorpio to really see the hidden truths within you, to go in, to do the work, to use what's around you in a new way, and to alchemize your circumstances by seeing that everything is for you. You have everything you need. Maybe make that your mantra, right? Using the language of empowerment. I have everything I need around me to create the reality that I want. I just have to choose to see it. And if you can't see it right now, make that the pointed focus. This is also the discipline of Saturn. Create that structure within yourself through your spiritual practices. Create your non-negotiables, right? Make sure that if you know, and all of us know, that we have habits that we have accumulated that maybe at one point in time and space helped us when we were going through that transition period of change, but those habits no longer serve us. So if you know, for example, we've got Uranus, which rules the nervous system, and Jupiter, which is expanding, right? If you know you're a nervous Nelly all the time and you can feel your nervous system taxed, and you know that drinking coffee activates it even more and creates more of an imbalance, maybe during this time, especially if you're using divine alchemy, to lay off the caffeine for a bit. It may not be forever, but if you know that it's taxing your nervous system and you know it's not good for you, and you know that it's creating more of this harmony in the body, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Taurus and Venus just wants harmony and balance and to feel good, right? So if you know you're doing something that's creating more of an imbalance in the body, this is the time to look at it, to forgive yourself, to give yourself love. Because again, this is going to be trining Pisces. So Pisces is just wanting an honest reflection of where there's imbalances in the substances that you're using, and that you need to hone in on your ability to alchemize. So perhaps if you want something different, you have to do something different. So using a different form of alchemy. So maybe lay off the coffee for a while, go to mushroom coffee. We know mushrooms, especially ashwagandha, are adaptogens that help the body adapt to stressors and to things going on outside in the internal environment. So this is just and these are small pivots. These are just small incremental changes. I'm not asking you to go and just give up coffee forever and go through these withdrawals. And if you're extreme and want to do that, I feel like that's the only way for you to alchemize. Hey, this is your journey. I'm on. We're all individuated Taurus selves, right? How you choose to do it, how you choose to live it. But I can reflect, for me, the changes that have been sustainable for me. It's been the small changes, like getting up a little bit earlier upon the grand rising to meet the sunrise, right? Is going to bed just a little bit earlier. Those incremental changes, and then do it consistently. You know, there's the 21 day, 30 day, 40 day, however long to anchor in these new habits. This is what's being asked of us right now, is to step up into our ability to alchemize through structure, through routine, through our devotional practice to ourselves, to connecting to the divine. And using the alchemy of Scorpio to be willing to look at your shit, because Scorpio also rules excrement in the body, right? It rules our colon, it rules our rectum area. So where things are released, right? So what are you ready to release that you know, those habits, those thought form patterns, those relationships, those jobs that are not good for you, that if you keep imbibing with these substances, beings, people, situations, that you're only going to keep getting the same results. So right now, this is a collective, like, wake up, aha, shake up, wake up call. And I would say catch the crest of the wave before it changes you in a way perhaps that is unexpected, because we know we've got Uranus right now in Taurus. And so it's going to be unexpected shifts in the body. So a lot of us, we won't change unless we're forced to. So sometimes the force of change could be, you know, a loss of job, a loss of your health. You have a health crisis, a loss of relationship, or a death, right? So these are very scorpionic things as well, right? It's unexpected transformation experiences, circumstances that show up. But again, this is happening for you. So even though it may be perceived as painful, right? And a lot of the times it is a painful situation. This is also part of, if you study Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, this is part of the initiation. And these are words also very much connected to Scorpio, as being the initiate, right? Being, um, I'm thinking of the word, what is it? The adept, is you're getting ready to level up in your life. But sometimes with the fixed sign of Taurus and all the fixed cardinal points of what we just mentioned, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, fixed, is stable, doesn't like to move, right? It's like those rocks that are in the ocean they are immovable. And that's a good thing for certain circumstances, but it's also, again, we're in polarity. The shadow aspect is where are you fixed in your habits that are keeping you in bondage, keeping you in lack, keeping you as seeing yourself as unvaluable, keeping your money codes or your health in a certain way because you refuse to change your habits, because you're addicted to certain foods or substances, again, circumstances. These are just honest reflections and questions to look at. And again, this is not judgment or blame, because all of us have it. Every single person on this planet has something they're addicted to. So this is the choice point right now to say, you know what? I'm going to be addicted now to eating healthy. I'm going to be addicted to going to bed early. I'm going to be addicted to making sure I move my body every day. Or I'm going to be addicted to loving myself and to speaking kindly to myself. I'm going to be addicted to having partners and friendships around me that uplift me, that feel good in my nervous system and my body, right? So this is a choice point to choose your addictions, because the mind is meant to be addicted to things. And if you study the neuroscience, there's a lot that points to that, right? So again, these are all just alchemic properties, awarenesses, conversations to have with yourself. This is not about blaming, but it's about being able to step into your full power, to take ownership, right? Take possession. Again, this is Taurus and Scorpio, right? Taking possession of yourself, by yourself, through yourself, and connecting with the other in a different way, in a different mechanism. So just taking a sacred breath. I want to see if there's any comments or anything. If anybody can relate to anything that I'm saying or feels connected to any of this content, please reach out and say hello. Maybe put a comment below. And also too, guys, if you find value in this content at all, it's free to share and subscribe to the channel. I'm really setting the intention to grow this channel as I'm growing my own central channel, just to bring unity consciousness to the collective in this unique voice, this unique channel perspective, and through astrology, because astrology is its own language. It's its way to get, it's a tool to get very, very deep and to do your own psychic self-analysis in a way that's empowering, that creates neutrality, that helps relieve the judgment. It's almost like when you look at your birth chart and see these aspects, you go, oh, this is why I do what I do, or think the way I think, or I'm drawn to certain things, right? Without detaching away from judgment, like you're a bad person or that you can't change these things. If anything, our chart is evolving with us to show us where we're evolving. So again, it's free for you to share, to subscribe, share the content if you connected to anything that's being said that that will help anybody that you are in relation with, to help each other move through these frequencies. Again, we're part of this collective energy. We're here together. I want to see here, Amber Brown speaks to reckoning. I'm feeling a huge shift within my life story. Yes. Thank you, Amber, for sharing that. Me as well, and thank you for bringing that up too. This is also Taurus in the mind, Mercury. What story do you tell yourself about self, about your body, about your health? Right? And are you being influenced by outside sources through Scorpio that, oh, your health, say for a doctor, right? Your health looks a certain way, or a partner who's toxic, you're this way and I see you as this way. And where have we put on these personality traits because somebody else projected that onto us? Are you willing, Lau, almost like the snake is one of the symbols of Scorpio, is shedding that skin. So are you willing to shed that skin that somebody else projected on you, whether it's a doctor telling you that you're sick and you only have this amount of time to live, or you're going to be this way because your body's this way? Can you make the agreement and say, you know what, I don't accept that? That is a form of spell casting with the language that I am now going to alchemize, because I know that I know that I know this is the story that I'm going to tell about myself and my relationships and my body and my health and my money. This is the story I choose. So thank you, Amber, for reflecting that and sharing that, because it's true. Again, step into that Taurus power. The sun is shining its light in Taurus that, I have. That's the reverberation with the second house, is I have value in my own gnosis. I have value in my body, in my ability to heal and regenerate. I know, like I know, this is Aquarius and Pluto. I know that I can shift my reality and my perception by what I imbibe with, by choosing different substances, choosing different people that I interact with, choosing different programs that I see on television or through social media. I'm choosing right now, real time. And it's a moment by moment, only being in the now choice point. This is divine alchemy. And this is the ability that we're remembering that we have these codes within us. So all we have to do is keep showing up, putting out our medicine, sharing our perspective, Taurus, right? Rules of throat. It's time to open up that voice box and to share your own unique periphery, because you don't know who it's going to help. You don't know who it's going to activate or initiate and go, oh yeah, I remember that, right? They may be able to hear something from me that they can't hear from anybody else, and vice versa. They may be only to hear something from somebody else, but the same message is being told and shared in a new way through our own individuated stories. We're telling a new story about humanity, about ourselves, about our power, about community, about our values, about our money, about our education system. All these things, we're having to tell a new story. So thank you, Amber, for sharing and speaking your truth. And again, thank you all for being here during this transmission and during this time period. Thank you for showing up on planet Earth when you did, to bring in these new frequencies. We have a soul agreement as a collective here, as a soul family. I think of like the monad, right? Where we have this bigger being that we've all decided to play under, like a tree. We're all under these big trees, the branches off these individuated huge tree forms. And so this is the time to unify in your community with like-minded, like-hearted souls that are ready to do the work with you, that are ready to tell a new story about reality, that are now aligned with the values that you're learning to imbibe with, that you would like to see more health, more vitality, more abundance, more unity, right? More friendships and collaborations and love on this planet. But sometimes, right now especially, the elements are coming and shaking those branches and those leaves, because things have to leave. This is Scorpio. Things have to change. They have to transform to make room for the new growth of what you're bringing in. So I would even say now, when this transmission is happening on 4/19, all the way up to the 24th, 25th, even when we're going to this full moon in Scorpio, and then the retrograde is going to be ending with Mercury, and I'll probably do another energy report about the Mercury retrograde and what that meant. And now that it's going to be moving forward in Aries, because it's going to be going over Chiron again, right? So this will be its third time swinging through Chiron. So really helping us to see our wounds, and where we keep rewounding ourselves because we keep imbibing with the same substances and the same people and the same circumstances. And so where we're fixed, right, and into this, like, we're so rooted down, but where does those root systems need to be replaced? This is also what's coming in right now with Taurus. It's like, maybe it's time for that old dying root tree to be uplifted. How many here have seen when, after a storm or a tornado, old tree roots were brought up because the tree was dying or dead and it needed to come up? That's the form of alchemy. That's how the earth alchemizes as well. So I'm seeing that as a collective, is things that are hidden, old root systems that are now too entangled that it's actually squeezing the life force energy out of us has to be uprooted. And so this is what this full moon in Scorpio is bringing, is these revelations, aha moments, awareness, and love. It's bringing in more love. It's bringing in more access to self-love, to value. But again, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And so this is just an invitation to work with new alchemy, to work with the elements. I'm going to be starting to explore a conversation with Ayurveda and studying medicines and philosophies that have been around for thousands of years that all point again to these elementals and how to work with the elementals within the body. Because it's very deeply, to me, tied into astrology, as astrology also works with the elements. So I know there's a gnosis and there's a tying together and a weaving together. And that's my own self journey to explore it as I'm starting to navigate and up level my life and drop some habits, right? I'm learning to go to bed early, taking some more Epsom salt baths, really being mindful of what I watch before I go to sleep, because that shows up in my dream state, right? So just learning to work with the breath more, and binaural beats, sound, light, the lights that are around me at all times, making sure I'm getting grounded. I'm going out and getting some sun codes, right? So these are things that I'm starting to work with and play with and just see how I feel after changing and just making, again, micro adjustments, because that's what's going to be sustainable for the long haul. This is Saturn and Pisces, right? Long-term success is based on the incremental changes we do every day. It's a devotional practice. It's a discipline. It's the discipleship of change and of tuning into our spiritual nature. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for connecting to the content. And again, if you found any value, please like, subscribe, share, send this content out. It's free for you. It helps the channel to grow. It helps me to grow. And I'm just so grateful for this time and space together. Thank you, Amber. And thank you everybody that watches this transmission in every now moment. So much love and so much gratitude for being here and for being on this planet with me right now as we're all experiencing life in a new way. So much love. Thank you, family. Bye.